If you are selling on an early, less mature marketplace like Amazon in the Middle East, chances are you're going to experience a small problem called hijackers. Now, it sounds a little bit scary and it sounds a little bit intimidating, but the purpose of this video is to prepare you and to let you know what you need to do in order to, number one, avoid getting a hijacker, and 3 tips to help you remove a hijacker if you happen to get one on your listing. But first of all, before we get started, let's talk a little bit, let's demystify the idea of hijackers because I don't want you to be scared. Let's talk a little bit about the difference between a hijacker and a reseller because there's a distinctive difference and you need to know this information before you actually list your product. So if you've decided to sell your product as a private label seller, meaning you're creating your own listing, you're creating your own images, you're doing everything from zero in order to ensure that your product is successful on Amazon, you also need to make sure that you create something distinctive within your product so that you avoid getting hijackers. So basically, reselling is just another business model that is available to you and every other seller on Amazon. So there is a distinctive difference between the different business models or selling models that you can follow when you are selling on Amazon. I'm sure you've heard it before, but if you didn't, let's go through them very quickly. You can be a private label seller, meaning you're creating the product. You don't have to physically be inventing the product, but you're creating the product listing inside of the Amazon catalog. So you're fully in control of everything related to that listing. Or you could be a reseller. Some call it wholesaling, some call it retail arbitrage. It's the same concept. You find a product that is now available on Amazon, already listed. Of course, it should be doing well and should be getting good sales. You figure out if you are able and permitted to sell that product, and then you become a reseller. So you're selling under the same listing and competing with other sellers for what is known as the buy box. This is a legitimate way to sell on Amazon. A lot of people do it worldwide, and you are also able to do both business models or selling models, private label as well as reselling under the same account, no problem. Now, issues arise in early marketplaces like Amazon in the Middle East with the difference between reselling and private label, and most importantly, hijacking, for many reasons. Reason number one, honest mistake from new sellers, because this is a new marketplace. A lot of sellers don't really know the rules and regulations of selling on Amazon. And since Amazon is such an easy marketplace to get started with, all you need is basically to go through a few steps in order to open an account. A lot of people end up doing this business without a lot of proper guidance. Reason number two, because it's an early marketplace, a lot of established sellers, primarily in China, try to take advantage. So they know there are a lot of new sellers, local sellers. They are very much experienced. They try to come over and they really hijack listings, even though they know what they are doing, even though they know that they are making a mistake. So with all of that being said, what exactly is a hijacker? So we talked about reseller, but what is a hijacker? Is it somebody that's going to physically hijack you? No. A hijacker is someone that is posing as a reseller. So they're trying to resell your product, but they're not selling the same product. So they're selling something completely different, sometimes even completely different than what is listed in that listing. Why is that annoying? Number one, because you created the listing. You worked very hard to get that listing successful, to get the product successful. You worked on the images, all that stuff. So it doesn't seem to be fair for somebody to just swoop in and sell under your listing, number one. Number two, if they are really selling something else and customers, and they win the buy box and customers buy from that reseller / hijacker, customers are going to get a completely different product. Some customers might return the product, and that is something that is going to be a loss for the reseller slash hijacker. And some customers are going to leave a negative review. Most customers are going to leave a negative review. And if they leave a negative review, guess where they're going to leave it? They're going to leave it on your listing, the listing that you worked very hard to create. For that reason, a lot of sellers are very annoyed with the idea of hijacking because it just seems that it's not fair, which it isn't. And it just seems that Amazon can't do anything about it, which they don't really do anything about it unless you have a brand registration. And getting a brand registration means that you have to have a trademark and you have to wait a very long time in order to do all of that, in order to be able to easily and instantly remove hijackers. Now, in this video, we're going to take a few steps back. What can you do in order to protect yourself from hijackers and try to remove them and be able to go through the 3 steps that the 3 tips that I'm gonna share with you in this video so that you can easily remove hijackers, sometimes within less than 24 hours. The main thing that you need to do is you really need to have a distinctive product. Because if you are just simply finding a product from a manufacturer on Alibaba, making no changes whatsoever, and getting that product and selling it on Amazon, you can easily get a reseller. In that case, it's not going to be a hijacker because you're selling a generic product, and I can easily find it on Alibaba, find it on Amazon, find your listing on Amazon, and then simply become a reseller. So that's not considered hijacking. So step number 1 starts from when you are sourcing the product. Make sure you make distinctive changes to your product that nobody else is going to make. Add a logo, do custom packaging, bundle the product, all of these things that you can create just to change up a little bit the product itself, and something that nobody else can do, something uniquely different that nobody else, no other seller can do, so that you really do have a unique product, even if it's not brand registered. But you really do have a unique product, and anybody else who's claiming to be a reseller is honestly, no way are they a reseller. Of course, they are hijacking your listing because they're selling something completely different. So you need to think of doing that before you actually get to the point where you need to remove a hijacker, if you are able to do that. Unfortunately, communicating with Amazon seller support, as great as they are sometimes, is going to lead you nowhere, because as soon as you send a message to Amazon seller support telling them, I have a hijacker, somebody's selling my product is different, my product is unique, they're going to basically just tell you to get your brand registered on Amazon so that you can easily remove a hijacker. The reason why Amazon do it is, well, they want to be fair to all sellers. It's not easy. Some people are really resellers, and it wouldn't be fair to just simply remove them. And opening an investigation with each and every seller is going to be a little bit tough because, well, there's millions of sellers and millions of products sold every day on Amazon. So it's physically impossible for Amazon to do an investigation into each and every case. They're just going to send you a generic template email asking you to just register your brand on Amazon, which is not something that you can do in the beginning if you're starting out. So tip number 1 and tip number 2 are very similar to each other. Tip number 1 would be to send a cease and desist letter. You'll find a template. You'll find the template that you're seeing now. You'll find it in the description box of this video. You can download it, change a few things, and use it yourself. So the main thing to do is, when you do find a hijacker, contact them through the Amazon system. And just simply send them the cease and desist letter asking them to cease and desist, to stop selling your product. Make sure that you do that only if you are 100% certain that they are not actually resellers, that they are really hijackers selling something completely different than what you are selling. If not, then this system, this tip number 1 and tip number 2 might backfire on you and you might get suspended. So be careful. If you are already selling something that is very generic and you get a reseller, then that is a reseller and that's within Amazon's terms of service and you really can't do anything about it. So a cease and desist letter. Tip number 2, very similar to tip number 1, is just simply send them a message or send them an email telling them to just stop selling your product within 24 hours or you will report them.
So let's just say that this is the product that you are selling. As you can see here, there's 35 people selling this product. So a lot of resellers or maybe hijackers, but I'm sure they are all resellers. But let's just assume that this is your listing and you've got a hijacker. What can you do through the Amazon buyer seller messaging? So basically you can, let's just choose this one, this seller, and Sunny Robbie. So you click on their storefront and then it takes you to their storefront. You can see some information. Normally you get the business name of the person selling the product. And sometimes you get a phone number either right here in the business name or right here for a customer service phone number, which would be ideal because that means you can just easily communicate with them and explain to them their mistake. But not every time this is available like it is here. So you would need to click on ask a question and then ask a question as if you are asking a question as a customer. The great thing about buyer seller messaging is that you need to answer. Like it would really dramatically affect your account health on Amazon if you get messages and you don't answer them as a seller. So choose any of those options. Let's just choose other and then type in all of the information that you want to type in to the reseller right here. I would also suggest that you attach some images of your product showing the reseller that they are making a mistake and they are selling a product that is already branded and that is different and unique. And that way you can easily convince them to remove themselves from your listing with just a few images. Remember, like I've said a lot of times in this video, make sure that this is honestly and genuinely a hijacker and not a reseller, because all of these things can easily backfire on you if you were trying to remove a reseller and not a hijacker.
Now, tip number 1 and tip number 2 work because, like I said in the beginning, a lot of people selling on early, less mature marketplaces like Amazon in the Middle East honestly and legitimately don't know that they are hijacking your listing. They really think that they are resellers. That's why you're going to find a lot of communicative sellers that are going to communicate with you and tell you, I'm sorry, I really didn't know, and they'll just remove themselves from your listing. So it's not really that tough to communicate with sellers. Some don't have the best intentions, but a lot and the majority of people do have the best intentions. So let's think about the situation as being a positive situation. So if somebody is legitimately doing a mistake, then yes, you can report them, you can send them emails and send them messages and tell them to stop doing what they are doing. But if they're not, then it wouldn't be fair to do all of that. It's potentially a mistake that you did once you got the product or once you sourced the product, and you can easily fix this mistake the next time you order another batch of your products, and make sure that you do something distinctive about the product so that you can eliminate getting any resellers. Make sure that you like this video, leave me a comment in the comment section below. Make sure that you subscribe to the channel so you never miss another video again. I'll see you in another video with more information. Bye.